Since we're just a small group, shall we just do a quick introduction round before we get started? Would that be okay? So my name is Anne. I'm the Membership Liaison Officer at the ISC, and I act as the focal point for all of the ISC members. And with me today is my colleague, Zhenya. Zhenya, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Zhenya. I am a Digital Communications Officer at the ISC, and I'm responsible for the website and social media. It's very nice to meet you all.
And Zhenya and myself were the ones, the main people behind the Hopin platform doing the GA. So this is why we're here today to speak to you about Hopin and about the EGA. Brigitte, nice to see you. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, I don't know if you see my background correctly because I don't. For me, it's turned over. Yeah. Anyway, I work with the International Union of Forest Research Organizations, IUFRO, and I'm the webmaster there and also the social media person. And we have a network of working parties, everyone and research groups involved in forest research. And I also assure communication within this network towards UFRO headquarters. I'm at UFRO headquarters in Vienna.
Thank you, Brigitte. It's great to have you online. Michel, do you want to go next?
Yes, Michel Spiro. I am president of the International Union of Pure and Applied Physics, and we are having our next General Assembly in principle in Beijing in October this year, but we are starting to doubt whether we could really attend this place in October. So we are considering the possibility to have it either totally online or a mix of online and in person. So I appreciated a lot the EGA of ISC. You did very well. So we have to see whether all the functions are incorporated so that we could hold an EGA, because we received nominations for the, like you, for the governing board, for the council, for the executive council, and so on. How we can discuss that matter, how we can vote. The votes are weighted, so how can we handle weighted votes, depending on the number of shares of each union. So both Jens, Vivian, and myself are attending this session in order to better understand and to see whether it could match our wishes and expectations. Thank you.
Wonderful. Jens, do you just want to follow along there?
Yeah, so as Michel said, I am also from EU PAP, where I'm Deputy Secretary General, assisting Michel with the daily operations of the Union. And my main job, daily job, if you want, is to be a librarian at the Particle Physics Laboratory CERN in Geneva. And I am very interested to learn about Hopin, both for EU PAP and also for CERN, I think.
Great, thank you, Jens. Louisa, do you want to go ahead?
Yes. I'm Louisa Friis Hansen. I'm from the International Federation of Surveyors, where I'm the director. And we are going to host our, what we call working week this year. It should have been in the Netherlands, but it will be totally online. We decided not to go hybrid, but solely online. Mm-hmm. And we actually just a few weeks ago chose to use Hopin, and I've just signed a contract with Hopin. And we are now also working on how to have this, our General Assembly virtually. We actually just found a voting system that seems to work quite well. We just tested it today.
Oh, we're excited to hear about that.
I'm looking very much forward to hearing your experience and what worked well with Hopin.
Which plan did you sign up for, Louisa, may I ask?
One called Simply Voting. It's really easy to use. It's very simple. It's I think the biggest problem is to get access, for instance, from China. They can't immediately have access to this, but I mean, we should be able to find a way out of that. But otherwise, it seems to work quite well. You get a verified report at the end, and it seems to be a good one. I've looked into several, and this is definitely the one that has worked the best.
Great. Looking forward to hearing more about that, Louise. And what Hopin plan did you sign up for? May I ask?
We got not the smallest one, but the slightly bigger one. I think
The growth, where you pay monthly?
Yeah. No, we pay a year, and the normal fee is 18,000. But we finally convinced them, although they didn't want to. But we convinced them that we're an NGO and non-profit, and they gave a rebate and also gave us some extra days. I mean, the unpractical thing about Hopin is that you only have this 72-hour slot, and if you have further days in the 72 hours, you have to pay extra. But so we have to pay extra per participant, but we got some extra days on top of that.
That's amazing. Let's talk more about that later, because I'm really interested to getting that as well. I see Virginia online. Welcome, Virginia. Virginia is actually a member of our CFF committee.
Yeah. Well, yes, I'm on the finance committee. Let me turn this up.
That's great. Happy, Virginia. Do you want to say a few? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm on the what is it called? The Committee on Fundraising and Finance. I always forget whether it's finance and fundraising or whatever. I don't know. I'm also a past president of the American Anthropological Association and now a board member of the World Anthropology Union and the World Council of Anthropological Associations. I think WOW, the World Anthropology Union, which combines two large anthropological organizations, international ones. I think WOW is actually a member of ISC as such. I know they nominated me, so that's all. And I know absolutely nothing about Hopin, so I thought I would learn something by participating.
That sounds good, Virginia. I hope you will. And Alfred, welcome. I hope you can hear as well.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Welcome. Do you want to say a few words about yourself and which ISC member you're affiliated with?
Well, it's a pleasure for me to participate in this. I think this is the first time, so I'm going to be listening to and also observing how things are going to go. I represent the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences.
Welcome, Alfred. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
So before we get started with the Q&A, session, and just collecting a bit of your feedback on the EGA and so on, I just want to say a very few words regarding why we chose Hopin. And what were the main points that we were looking for an online platform, what we liked about it, and what we didn't like so much about Hopin. Back in December, or was it? Yeah, I think back in December, we already had a knowledge sharing session for members, where we presented our initial research of online platforms and our approach to selecting the right platform to convene online events. But just to reiterate the most important aspects we considered when we looked at different platforms and why we chose Hopin, it was, for one, being able to manage the platform ourselves without any external support. It was really important for us to just be independent and not require any external support from the platform provider. We also really wanted to have an unlimited amount of events, so not to be bound to a specific number of events per month or per year. We wanted to have a monthly payment schedule, just to have a flexible cancellation in case the platform was not what we expected or what we need. We didn't want to be bound to a yearly payment. We also wanted to allow participants to move around freely in the virtual conference area. So, unlike Zoom, people are stuck in the same conference room, so to say, for the duration of the event or for the meeting. And we really wanted to allow attendees to move around and pick where they can go at any time. We also wanted some basic features like networking and a virtual exhibition, and of course parallel sessions, and it should also be reasonable priced. So Hopin actually offered all of this, which is why we subscribed to the monthly plan of Hopin. And I'll share with you my screen just to show you the different pricing options of Hopin and which one we chose. Can you see my screen with the different plans? The Hopin plans.
Yes.
Okay. So you can see there are 4 different plans at the moment, and you have to keep in mind that Hopin, they're constantly developing and coming up with more plans and also adjusting their features. So we actually went for the cheapest model, the starter plan, which is $99 per month, and yeah, it's a monthly payment, so you can cancel it anytime. There is another monthly plan that is called Growth. You can see it's considerably more expensive, and then there's the business and the enterprise plan. Now, Louise, I would be interested. So, did you go for the business or the enterprise plan? Do you remember?
We've gone for the business plan. I think it is, or is it, yeah. Right now I'm not quite sure. The enterprise, I think, is a very, very big package. That's almost 50,000 euros, I think, US dollars.
Okay.
Whereas the business plan is on paper at least 18,000. And then at a certain time they had another plan for 14,000 for a year. And it was a little difficult to find out what the difference was. It was the number of stages you have, but you have unlimited sessions, so you need to find out what's a stage and what's a session, and the number of persons who could be in a stage.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult to look at that. I mean, they have this really nice comparison here, which I'll show you now. Okay, so just to give you an idea, so the business would probably be around 18,000 or so US dollars per year, and the enterprise, you mentioned something like 50,000 US dollars or so. Okay, so and then when you scroll down, and Zhenya is going to post the link to this to the pricing models in the chat, so you can have a look at that also after the meeting. But they have a very nice, listing of the different features and what is exactly what features you get with which plan. What we were not really lacking, but what we would have liked for the starter plan is the more customization. So you see that customization is very limited with the starter plan. For example, you cannot customize your registration fields. So it's just it just comes with the standard Hopin registration fields, which is, I think, name, email, country, and I think that's already it. And you can't include anything else. And with the other plans, you see that you get more customization. And the other really big so to say downside or restriction, as Louise mentioned, when you scroll down further, is the event duration, which is up to 72 hours with the starter plan and the growth plan. And so I'm not exactly sure what it's with the business and the enterprise. But Louise, good to know that you were able to negotiate there, been able to have your longer event. And you can also see that you have, for example, you get only one organizer, so you have to pay per additional administrator, so to say, which you can do by day, though. You don't have to sign up for the whole month. You can just do it for the day, or for the days of the conference, and then just go back to one administrator, for example. It's not, that much more expensive. The starter plan comes with 100 registrations per month, and if you don't use those up in, for example, February, they get carried over to the next month. So if you only have one event per year, you get 1,200 registrations, and this is really registration. So if you have 2,000 registrations but only 1,000 people attend, you still pay for 2,000 registrations. And you can see any additional registration above these 100 per month is 50 cents. 50 cents. Just to keep that in mind.
A short question.
Yeah. So this. Yeah,
so
go ahead.
If you need a session which lasts more than 72 hours, could you just then create a second session for the meeting starting at the 73rd hour?
Yeah, that would be a good workaround. The good thing is in Hopin, so what you can do is you can duplicate your events. So once you've set up your event, and you just want to duplicate it and have a second link, that's totally doable. Yeah, exactly. That would be a good workaround. A bit inconvenient for your attendees, of course, because they have to register twice. And also, of course, it will take up the double amount of your registrations, right? Because it'll do it for both events. But yeah, this would be a good workaround.
Yeah, but we've seen, I mean, it's actually cheaper to extend the event also because you don't have them to register twice. And yeah, I can't remember what we pay per person to extend the I think it's €5 or so, €2.50 US dollars per person.
So this is interesting, Louise, because we actually, so I don't know if this would be possible with the starter plan, because we asked our support staff at Hopin, and he said it would not be possible to upgrade the starter to, you know, and to do this, because we also said, you know, oh, we're happy to, you know, pay extra or anything like that. And they said, no, you have to sign up for, you know, the annual plan. But maybe once you are on an annual plan, you can do that. So
now
that's
I remember,
interesting.
Yeah, because we pay, I mean, we have 1,000 free registrations. And then when we exceed, not for one event, but in total. And when we exceed the 1,000, then we pay $5 per person. And then we wanted to extend to 2 times 72 hours. And then we pay $2.50 extra. So we pay $7.5 US dollar per person instead of $5 per person.
Okay. Well, that's excellent that you were to negotiate that. That's really
So,
good.
yeah.
So you're saying even with the business plan that you have, you're still restricted to 72 hours because it says custom there in the pricing model. Okay, that's
we were also a little surprised about that.
Yeah, I think the business and the enterprise plan, they don't automatically include longer meetings. They just give you this possibility to pay extra and have longer meetings. Whereas on our starter plan, we don't even have this possibility, no matter if we pay or we don't.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay. Yeah, but so all in all, we were very satisfied with the features. I mean, in the end, the extraordinary General Assembly was only 3 days. So, you know, we were fine with the 72-hour maximum duration. The setup and management of the meeting was quite self-intuitive, and we feel that Hopin really creates a more interactive environment, you know, where you feel more connected to the other conference participants. What was quite labor intensive was to prepare the guides and briefings to ensure that participants have a good and smooth experience and are able to join and follow the meeting just fine. What we don't love about Hopin is that when you're in a session, when a person is screen sharing, the shared screen is quite small because you always have the space taken up by the sidebars and by the sidebars and the bottom and the top. So the shared screen is actually quite small, and it's quite hard to read written text on there. So yeah, that's something that we found a bit inconvenient. And what was also a bit challenging, not in terms of Hopin, but in terms of the General Assembly, just for the planning, was of course that for a global online event, it's really hard to pick the right time or the right times. So we thought the best way to ensure participation from all time zones was to offer different times on each of the meeting days and to make the recordings available in a timely manner so that attendees could watch the recordings from previous sessions before attending the next session. So we made those available. On Hopin, actually, we created a booth in the expo area called Recordings, and that's where we posted all of the recordings. And in addition, we put it on the website, on the EGA website. And just to finish up, and because this question has been asked quite a few times by members before, the online voting, and Louise, I'm looking forward to hearing from the software that you're using. But the online voting that we did during the General Assembly on the Elections Committee and the proposed changes to the statutes was done not via Hopin, was done just using our internal content management system. Hopin does offer live polls for voting purposes, but it's not, you know, like a certified anonymous voting procedure, and certainly you cannot do, you know, weighted votes. You can restrict polls to certain ticket types. So when you create your Hopin event, you can create different ticket types. For example, you know, tickets for voting delegates, tickets for observers, you know, ticket for different categories. And if your attendees register correctly, then this is a good tool to for your live polls, because you can make them available only for a specific ticket type. So if you want to do voting via Hopin, you could do that. And you could open up the voting polls only for the voting delegate ticket type, for example. But if you want to do, the waiting, it's also because we also have that, right? So that's why we didn't do it on Hopin. You could still do it and then just download the raw data from the backend and do the waiting manually. That would be an option. But I'll just open up the Q&A now. I'd be very interested to hear, more about your Hopin experience. Virginia, you said you've never used it before. And Michelle and Jens, I'd be interested where you are in your finding or your research in terms of which platform to use, and let me know if you have any more questions regarding the features. I mean, what is good about Hopin that you actually get to disable the different features, and for example, we didn't use the stage feature during our assembly, which is similar to a webinar format where you have a one-to-many format, just a person presenting and the audience is listening, but nobody can actually speak from the audience. They can just submit questions via the chat. We disabled that because we didn't use it, so what was not visible to the participants. What we did have enabled was the parallel sessions, the networking, and the expo. But again, you can also disable any of these to just use what's feasible or suitable for your meeting.
And could I ask? Oh, sorry. I don't know. Michelle, me?
Yes. Could you compare? So we are very much used to Zoom. Yeah. Could you compare the capabilities of Hopin and of Zoom? On Zoom also, you can do polls. Right. So I know that you have only one session Zoom. This is clear. So this is a clear advantage of Hopin, that you can have parallel sessions. But otherwise, could you make a full comparison of both platforms?
So it is true that you can have parallel sessions in Zoom as well. Actually, the only thing is that participants can't really choose where to go. So either it's randomized, or you can actually also pre-assign groups on Zoom by uploading the file beforehand. But the participant cannot choose where to go. And on Hopin, if you remember, you have the conference areas on the left-hand side. So the reception, the stage, the sessions, the networking, the expo. So even if you have like a 3 or 5 day meeting, during the times where there is nothing happening on the stage or in the sessions, the participants can still be in the online venue and explore the expo. They can look at the recordings. They can network with others via the networking function. So your conference center is still open while you're not having any sessions ongoing, and of course you can display your content. I mean, in the expo area, and that's available for the entire duration of the event. So for us, that's a huge advantage because on Zoom you cannot really display any kind of information, right? You cannot have any files or links. I mean, you have the chat, of course, but it's gone after the meeting is over. You can't have any pictures or images or anything like that, especially also not from third party. I mean, or from other organizations that want to display maybe information. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, of course, the networking function. So on Hopin, the networking function is actually a randomized one-to-one chat. Mm-hmm. So when you go to the networking, you click, you randomize with someone, you don't know who's going to be at the other end. So it's a good way to meet new people. It's always preset to a specific, to a few minutes, and you can do that as an administrator, but you can always, of course, terminate the conversation before that, or also extend it. There's an extend button at the top. And the other thing is, during the meeting as well, you can connect with any other participant. If you go to the left, to the right-hand side of the Hopin, there are these features, live poll and chat and attendees, and you can see the full list of attendees. You can go there, you can private message them. This is also possible on Zoom, but you cannot set up a meeting with them. You can set up a private meeting with them, which will generate a URL. And when you click that, it actually, within Hopin, opens up a new private meeting room for you and that person. And you can invite up to 3 more people to that meeting room if you send the URL via the private chat function to those people. So this is another function that's not available on Zoom. Zhenya, do you have anything to add there?
In terms of functions, I think that's about it. But also just the general experience of Zoom. Everybody's using Zoom, so people get tired of it, and then it doesn't look as professional. Whereas when you have a new platform, it means that you invested more in creating this platform, and I think users appreciate that. And it just looks more sleek, more like an event. So a Zoom meeting is more like a single occurrence, single meeting, but Hopin allows to create a longer event within which you can have different meetings and all kinds of interactions. And in Zoom, I think it's expected that the participant is more or less active the whole time, whereas on Hopin, they can just go to the expo and very passively look at different contents. So I think it takes off a bit of pressure from participating, and it's just more fun and more interesting than a regular Zoom, because everybody has been on Zoom calls, meetings, webinars for the past whole year, and it's an opportunity to bring something new.
Thank you, Zhenya.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
another thing I would like to add, Michelle, is that if you remember during the breakout sessions, I mean, for example, our plenary hall was set up as a breakout session. It was not really a breakout session, but we just wanted to ensure that, members can speak live on the moderation panel to ask the questions and to make their intervention, which is not possible on the stage because you can only submit questions in the chat, right? So the difference also between Hopin and Zoom is that once you're in a breakout session, the maximum shared screens or videos on the moderation panel is set to 9 if you're recording and 20 if you're not recording. So it means that really not more than 20 people can share their video at the same time, which makes the discussion really focused. You know how in Zoom, when you have, I think, more than, I can't remember the number, but if you have, 50 or 100 people attending, the videos are split over like different screens, and when you want to see the other people, you have to click on the little arrow and go to the next and next and next. And if a person on screen 3 or 4 is speaking, they're not automatically put on the first screen. So you're like, oh, who's speaking? And it's really hard to keep track of who's, intervening. So with Hopin, not everybody gets to share their video, which first you think, oh, this is really a downside. But then again, it really keeps the discussion focused, and you can always see all of the people who are speaking at the same time. And you have a dedicated moderator who is responsible for releasing people back into the audience once they have made their comment, or once they're finished with their intervention, to allow other participants to come on the moderation panel. So for me, this is another huge plus, because it's really a more moderated and focused discussion, and people can follow better.
So how did you practice to be ready for the EGA?
We did have a rehearsal before, of course, with all of the people involved. I mean, for us, it was actually comparably a small meeting, right? Because we had just one plenary hall where, it was our president, Daya, and Charles chairing the meeting. And so it was quite small, but of course, if you have more parallel sessions, you'll have to do some trials with all of the speakers. But yeah, we just created a rehearsal event and showed the speakers around, made sure their videos are working. I mean, once you're in the session that you need to be in, it's like a normal meeting, really, right? So we just need to make sure that the cameras work. And like I said before, we created those guides, like a guide how to register, or to hop on, how to join the event, and then also a little tutorial just to show the participants in advance what the platform looks like, what are the different features and how they get there and what they can do there. So I hope this was helpful for people to, to help people to navigate the platform. And in addition, we created kind of a rehearsal event, which was our COVID-19 From Recovery to Sustainability event in January, where we featured the UN research roadmap for the COVID-19 recovery and the YASA ISC project. And it was kind of a rehearsal event also for our members to come on and just trial it before the GA. So yeah, so we tried to create some guides. We had the rehearsals with our speakers and moderators, and we tried to create a rehearsal event for our members as well. So, and I have to say, we didn't get too much. I mean, we created also this live support booth in the expo where we had some of our IT colleagues sitting who were ready to help, with any issues if there were people who weren't able to share their video or their audio was not audible or something like that. But it was actually not visited. They didn't have many customers because, yeah, I mean, we advertised it a lot and didn't have many visitors, which I hope is a good sign. There is something to note. For example, we had a colleague from Germany who was able to join the platform, but once he was on there, he wasn't able to see any videos or audio. He could see the chat and participate in the chat, but there was a problem with his data protection settings from his organization because the stream that's used in Hopin is Zoom. Is that right, Zhenya?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, anyways, he wasn't the streaming wasn't allowed from from their kind of IT system, and so he wasn't able to see or hear anything. And yeah, it could be that other people could have the same problem, but this is the only person really who wasn't able to join. Sorry, Michelle.
I have two questions. If I am not wrong, your next General Assembly is in Oman in October. So what are your plans?
Oh no, it's online, Michelle. We already decided like in last year, I think.
It will be online.
Yeah,
so
it will be online.
It will be open.
It will be
open.
Oh, we haven't decided yet. Maybe we'll, because we're not, because it will be a much bigger event, because the extraordinary general assembly was really just
Yes.
the issues of the statutes and the elections committee, but then of course the GA is like the normal GA, like a big event where we want to have.
What platform do you plan to select?
That's
which
a good
platform?
question.
You
Yeah,
don't
we're
know
in the
yet.
process of deciding that. Yeah, we're in the process of we're putting together the draft agenda, which will be shared with members in about April for input. And depending on the agenda and also what governing board members are thinking in terms of interaction, we need to kind of reevaluate if Hopin is the right platform or if we need more features, or different
Because
features.
you have parallel sessions. If I remember well, in the GA you have parallel sessions. Yes.
Yeah, most likely we'll have parallel sessions, and of course the 72-hour duration is a big question because it's going to be over 5 days. So we need to revisit that question after we have the draft agenda.
When will you make your choice?
Yeah,
Because
that's a good question.
We could follow you. It's also in October on our GA. So.
With the platform. Yeah, no, I mean, we'll definitely keep you updated, Michelle, on that process. I have no idea at the moment we haven't really started looking at different platforms because we want to, so our approach is more like we look at the agenda, we see what are the needs, and then we go out and look for the platform because there are so many platforms out there. If you start, looking at the platform without actually knowing, what is really the objective of the meeting and what are the features I want, then we're just we'll be looking for a long time. We really want to be clear first, what exactly do we need? And then we go target it and look for the right platform.
Now, you said that there might be some difficulties for the access from China. This is an important issue for us because we were planning to have the General Assembly in China. If we have it remote, at least we would like our Chinese colleagues to be able to attend. This would be so.
I don't remember that we had problems with people from China. I think, Louise, did you mention it was a problem for the live polling or something like that?
That was a problem for the voting system.
Which is not Hopin. Right. Which is not Hopin.
Not Hopin. Not Hopin.
Okay.
But did you experience other countries that had problems getting on getting on Hopin?
Not that we haven't heard anything. No, not that we know.
And do you know about some Chinese platforms which could make the job?
Right. I would like to follow up because this is pretty relevant. I use Zoom all the time, but I have also used Cisco WebEx and Shindig, and I forget Zoom. I mean, I understand. I mean, quite comfortable with it. But I don't know if you guys have looked at Shindig. What was it called? Yes, the European Association of Social Anthropologists was scheduled to have its biannual meetings in Lisbon, and eventually it went all online. This was this past, I think, July. And they used a platform called Shindig that I had never heard of. And they trained us. They did all sorts of things that you are also describing. They had breakout things. They had a lot of the features. But I asked the then president of that association how much it costs because I didn't know. It was like 5 days, 6 days. And she said they had negotiated something like 5,000 euros, but it was because Shindig as a company wanted to break into the academic market. And that's what she said. But 5,000 is doable. 10,000 is not for most of the associations I belong to. Yes. So, there's a pricing thing also in terms of Zoom. I think of it as free to me. I understand my university actually pays, but it's free to me. And what you're talking about is basically associations paying what to me is a large amount of money. You know, even the $99 a month, that's like $1,200 a year. It's not unheard of, but the 72 hours limit is a problem. Because most of the things I do are, you know, I guess I do various things. There are meetings that could be fine, but congresses, they're usually 4, 5, 6 days long, and I don't know what to do with any of these. So are you looking at other things? I mean, you seem to be quite keen on Hopin. I'm happy to hear about it.
May I quickly comment on?
Yeah, of course.
So Hopin, we chose Hopin because we planned a lot of smaller events. So for us, the subscription model worked best. But of course, if you have one big event, then it might be more cost efficient to look for a platform which charges per event. So actually, there are 3 main pricing models. The first one is a subscription model, like we have on Hopin, where you have unlimited events, but you just pay a certain amount every month. Then you have platforms which charge per participants or per attendees. So you can again have unlimited events, but then you pay for each of the attendees. And then you have platforms which allow you to have unlimited participants, but you pay per event. So for us, it didn't quite work because we were planning a lot of smaller events. So every time if you pay a couple of thousand for every event, it's just not cost efficient. But if for you, this is you're just planning one big event, then maybe explore those options. And we did see a lot of event platforms which offer this type of pricing, and we can perhaps share some of the platforms that we did see. We didn't try them, but we came across many when we were doing our initial research.
May I ask you, you said that for your real General Assembly, you would be looking into other systems with different features. What would some of these different features be? I mean, what features were you missing in Hopin?
Shinya, do you want to go ahead or shall I?
I think one of the main features was that the ease of use. So everybody is very comfortable with Zoom, and with Hopin, it's a new system. And well, actually, for many people who participated in the EGA, there wouldn't be a new system, but there was still this a little bit of uncertainty how easy it would be for others. And also the fact that it was limited to only 20 video participants. And for some of the sessions, they envisaged a larger discussion where hopefully more people would be participating. So some of our directors thought that it was a limiting factor. Well, can you think of other things, Anne?
Yeah, exactly what you're mentioning. I mean, you know, the breakout sessions are really designed to have smaller, you know, breakout sessions, like the word suggests. And of course, our plenary hall was not a small breakout sessions. I mean, we had all of our members, you know, online. I think at some point we had over, I think 180 people or so in the same session. And it's a lot of people to have in a session, you know, and this kind of step that you are put on the moderation panel and you put on the spot, so to say, to make your comment or your intervention. Not everybody might be comfortable doing that, or some people, you know, they can't enable their video, or they have trouble with their audio, so it doesn't give an equal opportunity for everybody to participate in the meeting. Of course, you have also in the chat, you know, where you can make your comment, but there might be a better, and I have no idea what this could look like, but a better format, you know, where you have a more equal participation from all of the attendees, so to say.
Have you considered to use a combination of systems, for example, Hopin for the main sessions, and then if there are small breakouts like the meeting we have now, that people go to Zoom?
Well, for the breakouts, that would be perfect to stay on Hopin, actually, because the advantage on Hopin is that you can choose which sessions you go to, and you can also choose the session in between, right? If you want to attend another one, you you go to the overview and you go to another session. So I'd say for the breakout, we would definitely stay on Hopin.
Okay.
What we would need something else for is, like a bigger conference room that makes it easier for many participants, I mean, especially not only many participants, but for example, when we have discussions, it's just we want to ensure that everybody can participate. And with these breakout sessions, we seem like a little bit limited because people cannot really see each other. I mean, of course, you have the list of attendees, but it's different to seeing a face. You're very focused on the speakers and moderators on the moderation panel. You can't see people's expressions. So yeah, this is I think our main challenge, how to arrange this the plenary hall when we have big discussions in the plenary hall. The other thing is the networking. The networking function is super nice with the one-to-one randomized format, but there are also other networking features or other networking formats that are a bit more in larger groups. For example, I'm thinking of something I heard before, which is called Lunchbox, which, where you can actually see tables and you can see who is standing in, at which table, for example, and you can join their discussion, and, you can actually see, where people are and join them a bit in a more targeted way. Of course, you can on Hopin via this private meeting function. You can meet with someone, but it's always in an enclosed private meeting room and nobody else can see that you're speaking to that person, like in a conference area when you're in the coffee break and you see, okay, those three people are speaking over there. I know them. I want to go over there and just join the conversation. This is currently not possible on Hopin unless you create different breakout sessions, with different themes where like-minded people can meet, on a specific topic like chemistry or something else, right? So this could be kind of a workaround, but the networking function is of course it's just one-on-one and it's randomized. So there might be also a different format of networking that we would want to look at. Yeah. So
all these platforms are from the US, or do you have platforms from Europe or from China or from Latin America? I don't know. Only the US. All these platforms are US originating, or?
No, there are quite a few from Europe as well, but at least the ones that I came across. But I was also searching in English, so maybe that's why I got a lot of North American and European platforms. But Brella and Swapcart, I think Swapcart is French, or Brella is French, Swapcart is European for sure. Yeah, but it's quite a mix. I haven't come across any Chinese platforms yet, but would be interested to see. Yeah.
Just put the link in the chat to our knowledge sharing session from December, and let me just share my screen so I can show you where to find that. So when you're on the membership notice board, there is a under quick links, a link to all the online knowledge sharing sessions that we've done so far. And when you go to that page, you can see the knowledge sharing session from December here, online meetings and conferences. And I've given you the link in the chat, to this one. We have the recordings there, but also the resources. And this is the presentation from Zhenya, where she's showing the overview of platforms, the research that we've done. So this is the presentation. Maybe I'll put the direct link to this in the chat as well. And then when you go to page 6, you can see a small selection of the different platforms that we've looked at. So here's a comparison of the features, and then here's a little pricing calculation that we've done, taking into account either having a few big events per year or a few small events or many small events or many big events, because the pricing, varies a lot, because with different platforms you pay more per additional registrations or less. So that's why the price varies depending on the size and the number of events. So there's just a little comparison that we did that might be helpful when you choose your platform. So I just wanted to point that out, that we've published that there.
Yes, you did. All right. Okay.
Sorry, Virginia, was that
Put
you speaking?
in the chat. Right. Yes. You put that in the chat. You have two things you have put in the chat.
Yeah, so I put the link to the knowledge sharing session where you can see the recordings and the presentations from the other speakers. And then I put the direct link to Zhenya's presentation where you can see the overview of the.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Brigitte, I was wondering, what is your upcoming, or are you planning anything for this year? And have you done any research, or do you have any platform in mind? And what kind of features would you be looking for? So thank you.
UFRO is a network of voluntary scientists who are coordinating groups working, according to research areas. And we have some 80 meetings per year going around all over the world. And this was, of course, not possible last year because of the pandemic. And now we're trying to do a 24-hour online gathering, something, where we want both things. On the one hand, we want scientific presentations and with discussions like, as we know them also, but also kind of the networking, because people are all over the place on this globe and they need to come together. And I mean, well, we can do that one-on-one because everyone has Teams and Zoom and whatnot, but we want this kind of combination between also pre-recorded stuff and then areas where people just sit together and talk and say, well, meet and discuss things. And since we have 3 geographic areas, or let's say our president is in the US, our one vice president is in China, and the other vice president is in Europe, in Germany. So we could sort of give it 3 big areas, 3 zones, and then have, also for the timing, of course, so that people can go in this place. And then also if they see that there is a kind of interesting pre-recorded thing, that they can go there to the American part and look at that. And so we haven't really found out a lot about this, about the platforms, but I think a colleague of mine actually was aware of your last event, and I think someone joined and was quite pleased, or was quite happy with what they saw with Hopin. So I was volunteered, and I volunteered today to just come and see what this platform can offer. And we want to have that in September. So a lot of stuff to coordinate and to decide on, and also to get people to do things for, the content wise and things like that. So that's why I'm here today, and I'm looking and listening to you and typing.
Right. Oh, that's very interesting. So, for example, I mean, Hopin has the so-called networking feature, which is the one-to-one randomized format. But then, of course, you can create your own networking event within the sessions area, where you dedicate, for example, an hour or 2 hours and call it, networking breakout sessions. And you create several, depending on the number of your attendees. If you have, for example, 100 attendees, you create maybe 5 sessions or so to have about 20 in each, or a bit more, a bit less, depending on the size of the groups that you want. And then you really give them, 3 topics, you either regional hubs, or different topics, where people can meet like-minded people and have discussion on these things. And then you could have a moderator there who already has maybe some questions prepared to kick off the discussion or something like this, to get the discussion going. So that will be so that is also an option, right, to create your own networking with the help of the breakout sessions.
I mean, what I've heard so far sounds very good. The problem we don't have is the 72 hours restriction, so to speak, because we want 24 hours. The problem that we face a bit is that we in UFRO headquarters are not very many people, in fact. So we are something like 12 or 13 people, and not all of them full time. So it's even less actually. So we need to get also the people, the scientific part needs to be in hand, and we need to do that. But of course, the thing goes hand in hand with choosing the platform, of course. So once we know what we can do with the platform, we will be able to tell them this is what we can do and this is what you can do, and this is what we want to see or aim at. So yeah.
Right. I have to say, from a sort of setup side, if you've done content management systems before, like managing a website or something else, it's actually quite straightforward to set it up. I mean, once you have all the content, the titles of the sessions, the images, the videos or presentations for the expo, it's really like just filling in the forms, and it's set up. It's quite, because I mean, for example, when you have the starter plan, you have very limited customization anyways, so you fill in the fields, and it's automatically everything put into place, and you don't have to do any layout or anything like that.
Yeah,
It's just put in,
I mean, just
in its
put
position.
the logo maybe somewhere, and that's it then.
Yeah, exactly.
That's also good, because I'm the webmaster at UFRO, and all the rest of us, all of my age group, they are translators, in fact, so not really technical. Well, so the younger ones, I mean, they are used to it. They are digital natives, but yeah, that's easy. If it's easy to work with, it's even better, of course.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, especially if you, like you said, if you're the webmaster already, I mean, I'm sure that would be easy for you to handle. But as you say, for other people who've never, managed a content management system, I would say, maybe it will be a bit difficult, but also not impossible. But I think the biggest part is getting the content together. Once you have that, it's just filling in the fields, and
that's good to know.
Yeah,
great.
Well, let me know if you have other questions regarding the expo or the networking, to make a more informed decision about the. So you haven't looked at any other platforms. This is the first.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we were still in the process of developing the whole thing. We sort of tried to have it every 4 or 5 years. We have our World Congress, and it's a big event for 5 or 6 days, and everybody comes together and presents their stuff, their new thing. And then someone said, but this is the way you plan it, it's going to be like a World Congress, and actually that's not doable in 24 hours. And so we need to revise a bit what we want to do there. And yeah. So as you say, the content needs to be thought about first, and then we'll check about the platform.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly our approach as well. Yeah. Louisa, do you want to talk a bit about the online voting? I'd be very interested to hear about that, and if it can be integrated with Hopin or not, or if it's completely separate.
That's completely separate. We thought that the Hopin system, it was difficult for us to use because it's more poll system. I couldn't really find out that it would be good enough to be so that it's transparent, and you keep privacy, and you are 100% sure that you get the right result, and also that we or others, some tellers, cannot see what people are voting. I mean, we went through several possibilities, going from emailing to some tellers, and they could then collect everything and count the votes, and trying to make our own system. We could have made our own system, but we were also afraid that that would be, how that would be looked upon. And then having seen some external systems that I really didn't like very much, then suddenly we saw this Simply Voting. That's from the back end, I can see who have voted, but I can't see what they have voted. And very much inspired by you, and I think it was your introduction, your tutorial to introduce everyone to the platform, how to get around. I think it was really good, and it was very personal because it was one from ISC who did it, and not just click on a general tutorial. So I think that's what we would also use for this voting system, so that we tell our members that it's a secure system. It's GDPR is also secured, and we cannot see who is voting what, and so on and so forth. I really
Right,
like
yeah.
that tutorial, so that was a good idea.
Thank you. Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, actually, we couldn't find a very good Hopin tutorial, I have to say. I mean, they have really good text guides, you know, for administrators, actually, you know, how to set up a session, how to set up the expo, what exactly do you need, you know, what are the options. But in terms of user guides, we didn't really find, you know, very good material. And, you know, we had used the platform a few times, but we thought, you know, we cannot send this to our members. I mean, this is just too much information that's not relevant, you know, and the information that's really relevant, it's not really highlighted. And we really wanted just members to see beforehand what the platform is exactly going to look like, you know, with our image, so that they're not confused when they get to the platform and see that it looks completely different. Then we're like, okay, that's not really helpful. So yeah, so we tried to make that little tutorial with the, you know, going around the platform. So thank you. It's very good to know that that was helpful.
Did you use the expo area? Did you have some exhibitors? Sorry, I didn't get that much to that area.
No problem.
I mean, you used it for the knowledge exchange, but did you also have some exhibitors, or and how did that go? I mean, were they satisfied, and what did you do with them?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What did you offer
Louise,
them?
so just before I get to that question, just want to ask Michelle, do you have any more questions before you need to go?
No, thank you very
Okay.
much. It was
Okay,
very
no worries.
interesting for me, but I count on Jens to follow till the end and to
Okay.
report for IUPAP,
Okay,
but for me it was very interesting. Thank you very much for
Okay.
organizing this session.
No
Thank you.
worries, Michelle. At any time, it was a pleasure to see you. And if you have any more questions, let us know and keep us updated on the process,
Okay.
you know, of your research of platforms.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Michelle. Bye.
Bye.
So Louise, we actually had a very simple expo in terms of, and just for Brigitte maybe, and Jens, I don't know if you are aware, and Virginia and Alfred. So in the expo, you can have just static booths where you display content. And by displaying content, I mean you have a main display area, which can be a video or a presentation. And the presentation is just clicked through by the person visiting the booth. And underneath is when you scroll down, or there's a little arrow that you click, there's a large text field where you can include, you know, text, links, images, or anything else to support your presentation. And there's a little button on the right-hand side that also can include a link and takes you to, you know, to an external website. So that's really the expo. Then you have a little chat where everybody who visits the booth can chat, and it's in the booth can chat. And there is an option, like Louisa said, to have a booth representative in the expo booth. Which means that once that person is present, they have, so to say, a right. There's a little button in the top that they can click, and it turns off, or it disables the presentation or the video, and actually turns on the video. So it's actually again like a small meeting room, and the presenter or the booth representative appears, and he can see the people who are in the booth, and people in the booth can click a button to just for them to enable the video as well and to speak, and then you can just have a normal, you know, conversation with the representative. Everybody else who's in the booth can listen to that. So just like you're, you know, like in a conference center, you're standing at the booth and you're hearing the other people talk about something else, and you can still view all the materials, but you can also listen in on what they're saying. So it's not a private meeting. You know, others can hear, and others can also join. So he can, you know, he can have more people enabling the video, and it can become a bigger discussion. So that's possible. And the booth representative, you know, they can go away at any time. They just switch the button back, and then their presentation comes on again, or their video fills the main space. And when they come back, you know, from their break, they can toggle the switch again, and then the video comes up. So that's possible. For us, I mean, we knew that we weren't going to have, you know, 1,000 people online, and that really our main focus is the discussion around the changes of the statutes. And we didn't anticipate a lot of people going to the booth, and so we didn't think it would be worth to have a live person there. We had a live person at the support booth, so that's one of the booths that was live, and we actually just had like a holding slide when that person was not there. And then when the person was there, you know, you could see the person, you could speak to them, and for troubleshooting. But all of the other booths that we had a few just around some ISC highlights. I mean, we didn't repeat, everything that was on our website. We just wanted to highlight like a few ongoing opportunities for members, some new projects that we just launched. So we just had like a few highlight booths on these specific themes. We also had a booth just compiling a few Hopin guides that we found online with the tutorial video that you just referred to, which was like the main feature, and then some more Hopin guides that we found online that might be useful. We had one booth for recordings, so it was just called recordings, and in the area below, we listed all of the recordings from the meetings, because actually the recordings cannot be linked to past sessions. So you can't find them in the schedule or anywhere. So that's why we decided to just put it in the booth and have the recordings there. And then we also had an option, and maybe not many of you have seen it or saw it before the meeting. There was an option for members to submit content for a booth if they wanted to display, some content for other members. And so, sorry, my son is yelling outside. And so I think the Australian Academy and then also YASA, they submitted some content. So they had a booth on their organization. But, theoretically, we would have liked, of course, other members to do the same, just so that members can, get to know each other more as well. And we're actually planning a networking event in April. In the kind of format that we already touched on before, Brigitte, that might be interesting, for your event as well, where we really want to give members the space. So for them to have sessions on different themes, either regional or whatever themes, we want to come up with, and then also a dedicated exhibition space just for members where they can highlight their, recent projects, initiatives, impact, opportunities for collaboration, whatever that may be. So we're going to disable the stage, and we'll leave the breakout, the networking, and the expo. And another feature which I haven't actually mentioned is that in the sessions area, you can enable that attendees can also create sessions. So this is an interesting aspect, which we'll definitely enable, of course. So there's going to be lots of different sessions going on, hopefully, at different times, because many members have said to us, we want to get to know more other members, and we want to have, space for discussion and to connect with other members. So this is something we're planning to have in April. I hope this will be of interest to all of you, and let me know if you have any other ideas that you would like to see in April. But this is about the, that's as much information I can give you about the expo. Yeah.
Very useful.
Shania, do you have anything else to add there to the expo?
I just added some numbers. I put them in the chat. So we had about 300 registrations and 150 booth visits. So every other person visited the booth, which I think is quite good. Yeah.
Yeah, this is actually a nice feature on Hopin. You get all of these kind of analytics, right? I mean, with a starter plan, of course, again, they're very limited. I think Louise, you will probably get some more advanced analytics, but of course, you can really nicely track, how many registrations did they have, how many attendees, or how many people did attend, how many, visited the booth, how many chat messages were there. I mean, it's really interesting, just insights and some little figures, some stats that are interesting. And they're generated automatically, and you don't have to go back and count everything yourself. So that's actually, that's a nice one as well. And all of the recordings, if you decide to record them on Hopin, they're all in the backend there just for download, as well as the results of the polls, of course. You can download all of that. Yeah. Alfred, I was wondering, are you planning any meetings this year in Ghana? Have you fully gone online as well, I'm assuming? I don't know if you're planning any bigger events this year in Ghana or internationally or in Africa. I don't know if he's still with us.
Sure.
Sorry, Virginia?
No, I don't know if he's still with us.
Yeah, I
said it's a nice picture, but Alfred, are you there?
If not, Jens, let me know if this is helpful for for your.
Absolutely, very helpful. So I think the thing we really have to figure out is the voting. How to organize the voting.
Yeah,
that will be the challenge.
Is your voting anonymous in the sense of if you did it, for example, with Hopin or any other platform via the live poll function, which is of course not really a official voting function, but then you would have to do the weighting yourself, but you would also see, of course, what people voted. Is that an option, or is that?
That I'm not sure about, actually. I'm quite new to EU PAP myself, so I have never been to a General Assembly. So I will have to ask Michelle about that,
Okay. Because that's, of course, a big, a downside that you have to, you will see the results and you have to look at them in order to, compile the results.
Yeah, because you can easily just have a spreadsheet and just enter it and then,
Yeah, exactly.
I like simply voting. I like simply voting, which is, I think, what Louise was talking about earlier, right?
You've used it, Virginia? Have you used it?
Well, we're about to use it. There's something voting in about 10 days. And we actually chose simply voting precisely for some of the reasons that we were talking about there. We can see who voted, but not who they voted for. So, that's very helpful. Because we like maintaining its sort of anonymity, and I think a lot of our members do as well. So.
And it offers weighted voting as well, Louise?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have experienced any problems with people who cannot access it?
I don't think so. Have you?
Well, we tried this morning, and China couldn't access, and then we had one from Germany who had problems. I don't know why. We only made a test, but apart from that, it worked very well. But we have a lot of voters from Africa and Asia.
China is the one country where we sometimes have trouble, and it's hard to predict. I always think, okay, China and the US, they block each other, but we use certain things in Mexico, we use certain things from Europe, but it's hard to predict. It's I don't know. We have tested this as well. We tried various things. Can somebody vote twice? No. It does this funny sort of thing where it's weighted, but it's not weighting. It's not weighted the way we would weight it. It just does it in a different way. But we tried lots of things, and I don't know. There's always a mystery about China. I think it probably wouldn't be a problem for many people if we just use a Chinese platform, but then there are other problems there. We probably in the US couldn't use it.
Yeah, and I think our suggestion is that those who are voting from China, we have to either have a teller where they can then send their votes to, and this other person from outside China will enter it in the system, so that we can still get everything into the same system, because we get this very nice verified PDF out afterwards, and then we have the voting open for 24 or 36 hours, so it's not instant voting. We can't do that. It's too unsure.
We're doing the same thing. We're giving people, I guess it's 48 hours actually. And that's fine, lots of features, but there's always a mystery about China. I don't know. We can figure out ways of getting around it.
But that's a good workaround, Louise, that you've thought about, just to have another representative, a teller, like you said, enter the votes. That's a really good idea. And so is it like a monthly subscription, or do you just buy it for the time that you need it and then you cancel it, or how does it work?
Just checking. I'm actually waiting for a quote from them, but it seems that if we have up to 10 votings with up to 200 people, then that's a one-time cost of $200 US. It's a little more expensive than other voting systems, but I think it's also better and more secure than other voting systems. And so we also have some that have either 2 or 3 votes, and I mean they don't necessarily vote the same in all 3 votes. Normally they get 3 voting sheets. So I guess we can also, everybody gets a unique identification code. So we can just give them 3 different identification codes, and they have 3 votes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so you pay per vote, so to say.
No,
Right.
we only pay this one time for then we can have up to 10 different votes with up to 200 persons.
Up to 200 people. Okay.
Yeah, and you can have a lot of things in one voting sheet. I mean, we need to have 3 voting rounds, and I think we will also use it for our roll call, so that people register and say, well, we are here, because there's a difference between who is present and who is allowed to vote. Because for us, I mean, only members in good standing, the members of our associations. So only those in good standing can vote. But still more can participate. So I think that's how we can ensure that we get the quorum. And
and how, so it's basically, is it a custom link that is automatically sent to everybody via email, or how do they get the link?
It's very easy. You design you design the questions you need answers to, and you can have several things in one voting sheet. And then you also design an email, and you can say, when does this email need to be sent out? It will be sent exact at the right moment, the right minute. And then it's sent out automatically to, you can import a CVS file with those who can vote, and with their name and their email addresses, and then an email goes out to them with all information, and they get a specific login and a specific link, so that they can enter the voting sheet.
They don't have to register for anything, right? They don't have to have a Simply Voting account or anything like that, do they?
No. No, okay. They have to. I have to get all information in advance, and I enter this in the system. So I need their email address and I need their name, and they get a unique ID. But they don't have to log into the system or be otherwise connected to the system.
So you've asked them in advance to provide you with the name and email of their voting delegates, so to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have sort of an account on Simply Voting where you do all of the things that you mentioned. You design the voting form and the email, and that's where and then you have a button there.
And then I can, first of all, I can say, well, I have this email that I want to have sent out at this specific time. I can also prepare a reminder email saying, well, there are 12 hours left, and that only goes to those who have not voted yet. And that's also pre-made. And what is also very nice is that once a voting sheet is finalized and everything is in place, all text are in place, then you kind of finalize it so that the emails are ready to be sent out. And once you have finalized, you cannot change anything. Then it's kind of fixed, so nobody else can go in and mix around or change in the make changes in the questions or so. It's quite secure.
Okay, that's interesting. And may I ask how much you're paying for the 200 maximum 200 and then 10 votes? Or 10 voting?
Yeah, 10 rounds of voting. That's $200.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's not expensive. Okay, like you said, yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, thanks so much for sharing the link there in the chat. That's really helpful. Nice. And the rehearsal or the trial round that you did now, does that count as one of the 10?
No, because if you have a sample of less than 10 people, it's free of cost. So everyone can go in and make a rehearsal and try it out as long as you are below 10 voters. Then it's free of charge.
Yes. Okay.
So I've done these with our council. We had our council meeting today, so we tested it while we were sitting together. That was quite nice.
Yeah, if you only get a few people to vote and to try different kinds of things, it's practice, right? It's testing the system. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much for sharing that, Louise.
We've been doing this with 4 or 5 people, but I didn't know we could go as high as 9, I guess. 10.
Yes.
Interesting. All right. Well, let me know if you have any more questions. Otherwise, I would close the feedback and Q&A round. And feel free to contact us if you have any outstanding question. We'd be happy to answer that. And yeah, good luck with your research. We'll keep you posted on what we decide to use for the GA. We're going to share a draft agenda, I think, in April. For feedback and for input from members, and we hope to see you at the networking event in April. We'll share some information and a registration link to that as well soon. And Brigitte, you can try out Hopin again there and see if you like it.
We should join, yes, definitely.
And Jens, we hope to see you there as well. So you were not at the EGA in
yes, I was there. I was
you
there.
were, okay.
I didn't try these kind of bells and whistles. I just listened to the main thing,
Okay. Well, you'll have enough, more opportunities to test it then. So
absolutely, and I've heard from some other colleagues who have been to different meetings trying it out, and they said it was really, really useful, especially this networking thing,
Oh, good. That's good to hear. Yeah, it's really fun to just, be matched with a random person. I mean, you really, meet people that usually you don't connect with, or just to start new conversations. It's a nice little tool. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining today. It was really nice to see you all and to speak to you. And I hope it was a little bit helpful, for your continued planning. And Louise, it was definitely helpful, to hear from Simply Voting.
Yeah, and thank you very much. I was quietly listening to what was going on because I didn't have any question. But I think I have benefited from the descriptions that you have given.
Oh, I hope so, Alfred. Thank you for your feedback.
At future time I need to contact you, I'll send a message. Thank you.
Please do. And Alfred, we hope to see you online again during one of our next events. You'll certainly, you received the link to this one, so I'm sure you received the links to the other ones as well.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Did you receive this in an email directly, Alfred, or was it forwarded by one of your council members?
It was actually sent to me by the president of the academy.
Okay, wonderful. It's good to know that those your communication channels are working there. That's good to know.
Oh yes,
good, because I don't think I have your contact on the database, but I can add you so that you receive the updates more directly.
All right.
Alfred, may I ask what's your position in the academy in Ghana?
About the academy?
What's your affiliation with the academy?
I am a fellow.
Okay, great. It's very nice to meet you, Alfred.
Yes, and a member of the council.
Member of the council. Yeah.
Yeah, the decision-making level for the fellowship. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the General Assembly in October, Alfred, is going to be open for any office bearer, staff member, representative of any of our members. So please feel very warmly invited to also attend the General Assembly in October. But before then, we're going to have many more other online events and opportunities to meet online. So I hope to see you again very soon.
Right. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
No problem at all.
Right.
Okay, well, we're going to close the session then. Brigitte, Virginia, Louise, Jens, thank you so much for joining. It was great to see you, and let us know, how your research is going, and looking forward to connect with you again soon.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, really helpful. Thank you.